If you've got fiscal rules, I suppose, it makes sense to actually use them. But if you can't use them properly, what is the point of them in the first place? It's a stinging question that one has to pose to any policymaker, particularly any Chancellor of the Exchequer. What's the point of all that pain? Because when Chancellor Rachel Reeves imposes her fiscal rules, it's the question now ringing out from economists, think tanks, and business leaders alike. If she can't keep her own rules, then why did she impose all the pain? Reeves came into office vowing to restore trust in Britain's public finances with a mantra of iron discipline and a dogged commitment to fiscal rules. Her goal to prove Labour could be trusted with the economy, even if it meant painful choices. Painful choices. Choices that saw taxes rise, investment stall, and departments squeezed to within an inch of functionality. And yet, after all this, the National Institute of Economic and Social Research, the NIESR, now warns that Reeves is on course to breach her very own fiscal rules. The headline figures are damning. GDP growth for 2025 has been revised down to 1.2%, and the budget is set to remain in deficit to the tune of 1.6% of GDP, all the way to 2029 to 2030. That's a £57 billion shortfall on Reeves's commitment to balance the books. Another £25 billion breach looms on the public sector liabilities rule. In plain terms, Reeves' key economic promises now look imperilled. So again, what's the point of all the pain? This 22 billion black hole looks as if she's actually more than produced a black hole herself, simply by determined inadequacy. According to Stephen Millard, NIESR's interim director, the problem is not global, Trump's tariff war unhelpful, but marginal to UK's woes. No, the problem is homegrown, the self-imposed and arbitrary fiscal rules that have cornered the Chancellor into a biannual contortionist act. Find more cuts or raise more taxes. Either way, investment flees, uncertainty soars, and growth withers. It is, as Millard puts it, the precise reverse of what the government wants to achieve. And here lies the central incompetence. Reeves has treated economic credibility as an aesthetic exercise, not a functional goal. The goal was not to stimulate the economy, encourage growth, or restore productivity. The goal was to look sound, to impress the bond markets, to soothe the Financial Times. But theatrical austerity is still austerity, and when the rules stop being tools and become totems, government loses the ability to act, and that's where we are now. Consider her decision to raise employers' national insurance contributions. That is absurd. This not only penalises job creation, but it risks fueling inflation, a double blow to businesses already desperate for clarity. NIESR itself points out that undoing employee and national insurance cuts would have done less economic damage. Reeves chose ideology over pragmatism. The result, an economy described as uncertain and fragile, with inflation forecast to average 3.3% across 2025. That's not a glowing review. That's not success. That is abject failure. Of course, the Treasury insists it remains committed to its ironclad fiscal rules. It's the only thing it's clinging to, and they don't work, promising to go faster and further for growth. But iron rusts. Iron isn't something we can rely on permanently. And what Reeves has shown is that rigidity in uncertain times is not strength, it's weakness disguised as resolve. A good tree bends. Her approach now risks becoming the economic equivalent of trench warfare, huge effort for minimal gain at extraordinary cost. The UK doesn't need another lecture on discipline. It needs dynamism. It needs intelligent risk. And above all, it needs a Chancellor willing to admit that sometimes the rules serve the country, not the other way round. Reeves is wrong. She's been wrong from the beginning, and it's time to put something right and get rid of her.